Greetings, mortal. Ready to rock?
The Eye of the Storm podcast.
Hold on. Darkness just texted me.
Hello and welcome to the Eye of the Storm podcast about Heroes of the Storm. I am one of your hosts, Christian Ballmer, aka Lupen.
And I am the other host, David Hendricks, aka Yoshi.
So Yoshi, what are we doing here today?
We're going to be talking about Heroes of the Storm, Blizzard's brand new game. It's a MOBA, and it's pretty hype.
Well, why are we talking about it? Why don't we just go play it?
Because it's barely playable. Basically, you have to be like a top streamer or working for Blizzard just to get yourself into that technical alpha that was released.
I know they did release the video, and the video, they did a pretty good job on it, and I just can't wait now.
Yeah, it's like it's literally Hearthstone fever all over again.
It is.
Where it's like you see these people playing it, and it's like, I need this game, I need it, I want it, I gotta have it.
Yep. And I've never, I'm not like a big MOBA person or any type of, what is it, ARTS? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big person on that, but just looking at this game, just seeing these Blizzard heroes, something about it just gets me so pumped for it.
Yeah, definitely. Like I come from playing that Dota 2,
right.
And it's a hardcore. That's basically the birth of the genre was in Warcraft 3 with the map maker. And I see this, and it's just like nostalgia everywhere. And it's like, finally, this is the game I've been wanting,
Yeah, it is. And it's Blizzard, too. So are they really going to release, let's be honest, are they really going to release a bad game?
No, we know that this game's going to take its time, for sure.
Yep.
People are joking around like, oh, the beta's going to be in 2016. Game will release by 2020,
Which wouldn't be a shocker for some other games, but they already have the alpha out, like we were saying, so they're already going to be making those, steps towards it, even when they released it at BlizzCon, BlizzCon was October, I want to say?
Yeah, about the same time, WCS and all that.
Yep, so, for Blizzard, they are doing actually a pretty good job, at least getting the alpha stage out, and then, I would think we could expect a beta. My estimation is maybe a month or two.
Hopefully. I really hope they can get a closed beta running by the summertime, but you never know, because the alpha looks really good.
It does.
There's a lot of things. It's just you can be like, oh, we're working on it. You remember that first video, the Uther voice.
Right. It's little things they have to work on. Nothing, and obviously the whole balancing of abilities. I know there have been a few posts on different sites saying that's a big thing that they're looking at right now, that a lot of people are playing certain heroes just because they're overpowered, which makes sense in the alpha stage.
Yeah, and it's right now it's just focus on the heroes, focus on, just the modes, and give the people what they want, which is a fun game.
Right, because once you get that huge influx of people, then that's going to really show where, I guess, the holes are. And you don't want there to be just a giant gaping hole, and then you're like, all right, we have to close down the entire alpha or beta or whatever because there's just one overpowered, ability or hero.
Yeah, exactly.
So, along with, we just talked about the alpha, and a lot of streams going on and making us want to play. They did the Heroes Nexus, which is a pretty big site. It's one of the Curse's sites that does, Hearthstone and MMO Champions, pretty much a lot of the Blizzard games. They did release all those hero abilities. So what were your first impressions of all those abilities?
At first glance, coming from Dota, is Stitches.
Really?
Stitches. He's probably gonna be the first person I want to get my hands on to play just because of that hook. In MOBAs, there's a big deal about hooks.
Really?
Yeah, it's there's one in almost every major one, but it's such a strong ability. But it's just got that oomph to it where it's I just use skill to catch you pull you to me, and then I'm just going to kill you now because you're out of position.
And not just you, everyone. Every one of your teammates, you could just set up a kill, and you would not even be expecting it.
Yeah, exactly. Because literally, it's a very important part as far as positioning and everything like that. And like Stitches just looks fun to play because you're going to be that playmaker for your team when you make those hooks.
And he's one of those kind of well-rounded characters. It looks like he doesn't really have. He kind of has that tanking mentality. It looks like, but then also a very like an aggressor. I guess is that what they're calling it?
Yeah.
But that hook, I don't know for sure, but he and maybe one other person might be the only people with that hook because Kerrigan has the I want to say blitz or the charge, and then I know Illidan has a similar effect too. So just being able to pull another enemy teammate to you, and then like you said, with the proper positioning, set up a kill like that, it's gonna be huge.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
and,
I mean, I'm thinking is looking at some of the abilities, they definitely need tweaked a little bit. But like we were saying, like they maybe it's just 'cause I want to play the game, but it looks ready to go, man.
Yeah, definitely. There's just some things where it's like I gotta try this. Like Elite Tauren Chieftain, man. Like first off, looking at him, he looks like he was the very first person that they put work on and like completed and said, you know what, this is gonna be one of our faces of the game.
Yeah.
And like it's just everything about Elite Tauren Chieftain seems done, which is strange because the game's still in alpha phase. But he's also probably got the coolest ability out of all of them, which is Stage Dive, and it's basically just this huge ult there where he can jump anywhere on the map, and it just deals a bunch of burst damage to enemies in the AoE, and it's the coolest thing ever.
And that's one of those abilities that you're looking at and you're like, this can't be right. There has to be something else,
Yeah, I was just like, you know what? Let me do this.
Seriously though, I mean, so you're looking forward to, it sounds like Stitches and Elite Tauren Chieftain. Anyone else you're kind of looking at too, or no?
With my Dota background, looking at Malfurion, man, because I've been a Malfurion homeboy or fanboy, I guess, for a while.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Just such a great character, and like even though they're split, lores and all that, like just Malfurion is he seems like a fun person to play.
He is. He has that strong lore. He's definitely a support class from what they're giving him, which is interesting because I want to see how that plays out, necessarily support classes in this game, just because are they going to really, when they come into the mix, are they going to really change the tide of the battle, or are they going to be able to dish enough damage that they can actually kill someone too,
Yeah, that's definitely a big thing. It's like the classes that they have are just, they're like different, they have like assassin is one,
That's
warrior, and these are like usual classes, but then they have specialists.
Yes.
And that specialist class, it brings heroes with these very, I guess, special skill sets.
Right.
And it just shows, like, you know what? We can have different kinds of play styles and suit those play styles with heroes that do really niche specific things.
I mean, I know exactly who you're talking about too, like Gazlo and Sergeant Hammer. Those two especially, I know they're going to be aimed more towards like tearing down towers. So you throw them in a lane, and they're going to be able to rip down a couple towers if they're not taken care of.
Yeah, just like you're giving us what we want. A siege tank from StarCraft.
And it can go into siege mode and do more damage. Are you kidding me?
It's the greatest. That's what I want.
And then the interesting one too is Abathur. Everyone on the forums has been going crazy about Abathur, and from what I've seen, there was that Q&A this morning about it, and they said that they want to fit more heroes to Abathur's, not necessarily play style, but the complexity of it.
Yeah, definitely. Like from like when the streams first started coming out, it seemed you won the game if you had Abathur.
Yes, that is very true. Well, I've seen it go both ways. It just, Abathur is it's one of those characters now that you can do so much with. Not only if you want, I don't know the exact ability, but you actually like become part of the other hero or a hero on your team, and they just become stronger, which seems ridiculous to me. But yeah, it's just one of those specialists, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So me particularly, I'm kind of on the Malfurion train with you. Just from my like World of Warcraft background, I've played a druid for probably like all 7-8 years I've played. I absolutely love the concept of like the druid and being able to do damage along with heal too. But then the other big one I think I'm interested in is Arthas. I hate to side with both WoW sides, but both WoW characters. But from what I've seen from he has the CC to root, and he has the power to kill, which seems a little OP right now. What are your thoughts?
You know, the fact that like, because those are two things that usually shouldn't be on one hero,
right?
You know, because like that CC should be on. You would think would be on the support. You know, it's their job. You know what? Just keep him there. I'm gonna deal with all the burst damage that's needed to kill him. If you're like like a carry player like Arthas or something of that nature.
Yeah, they're gonna be setting up the kill, or they're gonna be doing the proper CC just to. You don't want it just in that one character. And then do you really even need a team, or do you just need a team of 5 Arthases and you're winning?
And it almost like builds up this idea that, you know what, Arthas can actually just solo kill people, and because he's able to prevent kiting because he has the CC to keep them close and stuff, you know.
Exactly. So even if they had a chance, I know Tyrell is usually pretty good about getting away from what I've seen. Same with the Demon Hunter. That immediately just stops it, and that's a big part of their arsenal, you know.
Mm-hmm. Especially Tyrael. He's got one of the most interesting skill sets I've seen of all the heroes, because obviously it's like alpha stage. You know, the game's been played by the public for a little less than 2 weeks,
right?
And it's like they're figuring out where these like player roles fit in, and Tyrael is like, people are trying to play him like he's a good damage dealer, when really in the end he's more so like a tank than anything.
Yeah, I'd say tank, and even like it seems like he's a tank / like frontline melee healer, I want to say, just because he's able to offer that support while then like you're saying, not necessarily tank, but like I guess tank, take damage from other players and allow them to still be aggressive, you know.
Yeah, which is actually a really cool ability. I wish there was more like that in other games, where it would have one guy just like, you know what, you go ahead, I'm gonna put my shield around you, I'll take all your damage, you know.
Right.
Like, that's a really cool idea that I'm not that familiar with.
It's a concept, and they I think they took it partially from, I don't know for sure for Diablo. I've played a little bit, but not enough. They took that concept, I'm believing, from WoW. A lot of, or at least some of the healers in WoW offer the Paladin class, which is, I'm relating closely with Tyrell. It offers an ability that will actually take some of the damage. So it seems like they're taking from like different abilities from different Blizzard games, obviously.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, well, I know you. We were going to talk about, what do you look forward to most? You want to talk about this Rainbow Unicorn mount?
Oh man! All right. So
go ahead.
The Rainbow Unicorn mount, for those of you who don't know, is I believe it's the most expensive mount in the game.
I think it is. Yeah.
But it is a $20 mount in Heroes of the Storm that allows you to ride a rainbow unicorn.
Go figure.
The unicorn, when it walks around, it's got a little like rainbow trail that it leaves, which is really cool and all. But like, it's one of those things where my free-to-play microtransaction things are like, oh my goodness, that's stupid. That's exactly what I want. Right. I love it. Because like in Dota, you're able to purchase like these things called couriers, and it's like a silly panda bear. Yeah, of course I'm gonna get that,
Is it like a non-combat pet almost that follows you around?
Yes. Okay. It delivers items.
Oh,
so.
Man, that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm interested to see you ride around on your Rainbow Unicorn mount when you do get it.
Totally.
I don't see them taking that out of the game. Honestly, I see him adding more things like that.
I want more. I want just to be able, very first game, just stitches on top of the rainbow unicorn mount, and it'll be the greatest thing ever. That's it.
Well, I can't say. I mean, I've looked at some of the skins. I also with the mounts. There's really no other big mounts. Like is it like the rainbow unicorn mount from what I've seen. I know they have like the dire wolf from WoW, along with just your standard horse too.
Yeah, and then they also had like a mech horse mount, which was actually really pretty cool too.
Did they?
Yeah.
It was that's similar to what we were talking about with Tyrell, huh? How he has that mech skin that he looks like a transformer almost, or no, like a Gundam wing.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that definitely.
Yeah, it's just like the skins in general, like there aren't too many that I would say are like underperforming, I guess.
Undervalued maybe, like just, like someone wouldn't end up using that skin.
Yeah, because like they've got skins for just about like everyone. Like Diablo skins are a little iffy, but you know, depending if those fit up your alley, I mean, they're probably great.
And even like, all right, so let's say you do choose Diablo, they do have, I know, like the Murloc one. That it just looks crazy, but then that's gonna, of course, relate to your WoW players. So it's nice to see them doing the whole cross-platforming thing with the games.
Yeah, definitely.
Just to see what they can get. I know this week, especially too, they just added Tychus. It was like this week or last week. Did you have a chance to check out him at all?
I was able to check out a little bit of Tychus.
Okay. What first thoughts, impressions?
He seems like a pretty solid hero, just from like his abilities and stuff from the pool. My favorite thing about him, at least from the looks of it, is going to be one of his ults, which it says the duration 17.5 seconds, and he summons like a laser that does 155 DPS. And it's like, for 17.5 seconds, that's pretty strong. That's a lot of damage to deal.
That is a lot of damage to deal. I'm wondering if that's a typo. That makes me want to look it up now, just to be sure.
Yeah, so, I mean, like I said, I'll have to see it actually in battle to see how viable it really is, but...
I know from a couple of videos I was watching about him, because they did release the new skin on Twitter for, you know, those of you that have not seen that too. It's like the Infested skin, they call it. It's a mixture of the StarCraft Zergling with him. But from what I've seen about him, he is compared to Nova a little bit, in the sense that when you have him in battle, he can't. First of all, he's not a great solo hero unless the enemy's just letting you lay into him. But he can hang out back, and if you just let him sit there, he will do massive damage. It's like, I guess you could consider it sniping almost, for those people that like that. But I'm really interested to see some comps that like Arthas, CC, and then he's just, then here comes Tychus.
Sitting in the back, just like ping, ping, ping.
Right, exactly, just racking up the kills. Although I guess for this especially, it's all team kill based, right?
Yeah, it's like at the end of the game, it'll show you like your kills, deaths, assists type of stuff. But it's like the game just focuses around the team in general. It's not like any single player is going to get like a bonus over the rest of their teammates.
Exactly, and I think that's a great concept that Blizzard implemented. Just because I played a small amount of League of Legends, and we're actually going to try out Dota 2. I've never played Dota 2 tonight, so David's going to walk me through it.
Totally.
But that idea that it's all team-based will, take a little bit of the elitistness out of it, if that's even a word, elitistness. But it will. I personally like playing better with teams, and I hate when people get all, mad because they feel like they're carrying you, which, it can happen. But I think it'll happen a little less when it's team-based.
Yeah, because League and Dota, both of those games, very team-based games, but it's almost as if the objectives makes this one even more highly focused on how the team operates and who does what and when. Because, like I said, this is not the same as what people were expecting Blizzard Dota to be.
Right. What were you thinking? Were you thinking that they were going to follow the League of Legends path almost, or like the Dota 2 path, or what? What'd you think?
You know, people were just expecting, you know what? It's probably going to be Warcraft 4. You know, there have been some people complaining where it's like, you know what? Don't give me this. Just give me Warcraft 4 with a map editor.
For all those people, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, but then on the other half of it, you have people who are like, oh my goodness, this is so different that I want to try this out. This looks more enjoyable, you know? Because I'm not going to say that the way they've set it up takes out the individual skill anymore.
No,
but there's still that individual skill, but it's more so the synergy of your skills with someone else's. And being able to, you know, as we said earlier, like divert these tasks out to your teammates and say, you know what, I'm going to go in the mines and get the skulls. You guys keep pushing or anything like that.
It's very in the moment strategy, which you could go in there, you know, with a group of great players and tell them, all right, this is where our strategy is going to be. But when you actually get in the heat of the battle and you have to make those split-second decisions, it's going to really shine if your team has great synergy or not.
Definitely.
So, and I think that's a concept that they drew from WoW a little bit. As far as WoW's arena structure goes, it's very similar to that. Just that very in the moment, and you know, you have how many abilities in World of Warcraft to choose from, but it's able to say, hey, you need to CC this target, we need to focus this target, and when they blow this cooldown, we're going to switch to this target and land a kill. So, and that's obviously not, I wouldn't say as complex in that sense, but it's going to really show, I think, in that way.
Oh, yeah, definitely it will.
So, what would you say was the biggest difference in looking at now? I mean, obviously neither of us have played it yet, but in Heroes of the Storm compared to Dota 2?
The biggest difference is just first and foremost would be the taking out of the last hitting and gold gain and buying items and stuff. Like, that's huge because that's what the whole genre was built on.
Yeah,
you know, last hitting, you know, was a show of skill where it's like, I'm gonna last hit better than you, and then I'm gonna get my farm faster, and then I'm gonna win the game because I've got my items. When now, because people in the first week they're trying to figure out meta and stuff, which is crazy, but I was watching a couple streams where one team was highly more skilled than the other, but they weren't doing the objectives and they ended up losing.
Were they just sticking to your simple lane strats? Everyone.
Yeah, they were just laning, and then they were fighting, they were winning their lanes, and then the mines opened up for the one map, and they had 0 skulls.
and the enemy's grave golem probably just ripped them apart.
It just pushed their entire base, and it was ridiculous.
And the only time after I rewatched the Blizzard developer one they had at BlizzCon today, and the second match they did, similar to what happened, what you're talking about, but it ended up being the blue team was level 18, and then the red team was level 17, so the blue team said screw it, I'm going into the mine, and they decided to make one big push for the enemy base. I guess it would be, I forget what they call them, because there's 4 forts, and then there's the main base.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they call it a throne or not, but
okay, yeah, it might be throne. But they made that big push because they were like, screw it, we're just gonna head straight in there, guns blazing. It ended up working out for them, although they had to deal with the golem in the moment, because the lane that they ended up picking was where the grave golem summoned, and they just had to take care of it. It pushed them back a little bit, but still, it's interesting to see how when people decide to go for those objectives and when they don't.
Yeah, because it's when you win or lose the game based off of the objectives, and that's relatively new because it's in Dota and League, you have either the Baron buff in League or Roshan in Dota, where it's your team get benefits from your slaying of this monster. However, that's not gonna completely guarantee oh man, this is gonna help us win the game.
Right.
Yeah, and also like most of the bonuses from completing the objectives in Heroes of the Storm, I've noticed had to deal with pushing. Um, for one would be the Grave Golem. The other one would be the Dragon Knight, where you have to capture the shrines, and then whoever captures all 3 shrines gets the Dragon Knight suit. And that suit is very, very strong. You can just punt people across the map, which looks great.
I don't think I've seen that one yet. So you said I've seen the Grave Golem one, and then also is it Blackheart's Bay?
Mm-hmm.
And then
the pirates.
Yeah, the pirates. Yep. And then the third one, and that's the Dragon Shrine one you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just like you get the Dragon Knight's armor, and it's just this extremely powerful piece of armor where it's just you can just push like nobody's tomorrow unless all 5 heroes focus you down.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
It's pretty good, man.
I'll check that one out, but I know. Well, I mean, we were gonna definitely hit on this new gameplay strategy, but then you also wanted to talk about the time and the in-game currency system compared to Dota. What'd you have to say about that?
Yeah, a very important thing when it comes to a game being free to play, is how much time do people have to put in to figure out whether or not like this is gonna pay off, and then like there's a couple other like free to play games that have this model of like play this game, you unlock the in-game currency, you can unlock our heroes with that, but any skins and stuff you have to use real money. Like League of Legends is like that, and a couple ones like Smite is like that as well. And it's like it takes like the way League is set up, it has heroes of different tiers, and like the cheaper, like I guess they're called champions, are aimed more towards the players with like less money. So it's like if you have less in-game currency, you can probably still get the like easier to use heroes, which is a pretty good idea. You know, like not gonna throw you into playing the most complex thing in the world.
Right, exactly.
But like the thing about it in Dota 2 is that all the heroes are free. So it's like you can play anyone. However, it's like the cosmetics and stuff is where all the money comes in.
In that aspect, I mean, I definitely like that because I know Malfurion's supposed to be on the simpler, cheaper side, I guess. And for those of you that don't know too, they do have a rotation every week where it's 5 heroes, right?
Yeah, it's 5.
5 heroes where they randomly selected or however they want to select them, and you're able to play those 5 heroes. So it's definitely a good addition if you don't play enough. It's just like Hearthstone. If you don't play enough to get the cards, in this sense, you can at least try out the heroes. Hop on once a week and play some new heroes.
Yeah. One of the it's ironic that the free to play documentary came out today, but like free to play is this evolving genre of game. And it's like with heroes and stuff, with Heroes of the Storm, they have made it so accessible that that's probably one of the most important things they have to do. Especially with this, because most people are pushed away by the seriousness and toxic communities of MOBAs.
Yes, yeah, that's true. And I think Blizzard does an awesome job too, at least starting a game out casual, or at least making it easy to play or easy to pick up, and then making it, it's hard to master. Hearthstone's a great example of that. Anyone could play that game, but if you want to get competitive and get in the high ranks, get legend, you're gonna need to know your shit.
Definitely. Like me, I play Hearthstone. I just play casual the whole time. People are like, "What do you get out of that?" Like, game's fun.
Right. What more do you need from a game?
And that's honestly how any good game should be. And the thing about it is, when people look at like action RTS games or MOBAs, when people look at that genre, the learning curve is more like a learning cliff, where it's just like straight up you start running into the wall and then you got to climb up slowly. And it seems that Blizzard's finally been able to almost break this system of maybe not turning it into it's less of a cliff, but it's not as much of a curve yet, but it's getting there.
Yeah, it's
where
it's more like a wall. I'd say, at least, I mean, I see what you're saying though with like Blizzard, how they're reaching that point, because in Hearthstone it's the same exact way, and you can play casually, like you're saying, and then you start to feel, yep, it's getting harder, and eventually you reach a part where your deck just boom, it hits that wall or that cliff,
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they necessarily put that with Heroes of the Storm. Their ranking system's not even out yet, how they're going to do it. So we can't even make I mean, what do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be more Hearthstone?
I think with their ranking system, they'll probably go the route that StarCraft 2 went, with like the medals, like bronze, silver, gold, because I feel like classifying like ranked or skill into tiers is like, it's easier, it's more fulfilling, it's more satisfying. Like I told you about, I had a friend who played StarCraft 2. He got gold, and then he said, "All right, I'm done. I got what I wanted." And it's a lot easier because one of the things that Dota does with their MMR system is that it's a number, and people are like, "Well, I have this number, but I still don't have a pure like, I guess like a perspective of where do I fit along the line of every other person playing this game."
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if my score's good, if my score's bad. I mean, most people, like, they figured it out, but it's like, it'd be easier if you just had it into, like, tier lists.
So you're thinking, like, the overall ranking, similar to how when you hit Legend in Hearthstone, you're like, you literally are, here's your number. You're 35 or whatever.
Yeah, basically.
Is that what you're hoping for, more or less, in that sense?
Yeah, like, there's something that, like, classifies tiers easily. So
that's gonna be. I'm definitely interested just to see, because in WoW they have that. You have your arena rating, which essentially is it's your MMR. But you also have a hidden MMR too, which is just you that you can't see. So just to make sure they pin you up, even if you start a brand new arena with someone, you still have that internal MMR you can't see. So they're not going to pin you against just some noobs or something like that you could just honestly just tear apart. So I think they're going to have to implement something similar to that, just a hidden MMR where you're always going to be pinned against someone of your skill level, unless obviously you're not playing ranked.
Yeah, that's definitely something important, because like with free-to-play games, I mean, I don't run into this problem anymore because I don't do this, but a lot of people like to make Smurf accounts.
Smurf accounts? What's the definition of that?
Basically, it's an account that someone makes, and it's like they do it just so they can play against really new players.
Oh, that's funny.
And to just like stomp them,
yeah,
and destroy their morale and never want to play the game again.
I could see how you could do that in a free to play.
Yeah, because it's like just another email, another account and stuff. So it's like it's interesting how games do handle that. Because they you have to have that unseen MMR for their sake, not even for the player's sake.
Right. Yeah, just for that. Wow. Well, let's hope that. I mean, it's gonna be Heroes of the Storm. It's probably gonna happen. Unfortunately, you're gonna get those people. Hopefully, hopefully not. But
well, that's the thing. As long as you're not playing with any new friends, you shouldn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, that is true. So going from here, it's interesting to talk about this MMR. How do you think it's going to then set up for the competitive scene? Just because, I mean, Hearthstone was already getting tournament matches in the beta. So what does that say about Heroes of the Storm, a game that is a MOBA that already has a huge esport scene?
Yeah, it's gonna. Excuse me. This game is going to join the likes of Dota 2 and League. It may not be completely all the way up there, but it'll definitely be one of those games that you see at these events. Like, there's a decent following for it. It's strange because when I first started looking at the gameplay and everything, I'm like, how can they make this a competitive thing? I was like, I don't really see this much, but more and more, and it's just like, the thing about it is the hard to master part that you brought up earlier. That definitely plays a role in it, because to to do something competitively, it needs to be difficult to master.
Yeah, it does.
And by doing so, there's going to be people out there. And as far as the scene growth, like, there's people all over who played Warcraft 3 Dota.
Yeah.
And this is rooted in the original, like, you know, you got your lanes and you got to push to the throne and win. But to do so, you have to do, like, this completely different new style, almost, of game, where it's almost like a genre. I brought up Dire Tide, which was a limited time game mode in Dota 2, where, like, it was just a fun throwaway game mode where you would have to, like, steal candy from the other team's basket located on the map.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, and it was this really silly thing, and in the end, it was still, like, that was probably the most objective game of Dota I've ever played. Because, I mean, it's usually your objective is just, you know what, get stronger than the tower, knock down all the towers, win the game.
Right.
In this, you're not just getting stronger than the tower as a team. You have, like, your, like, neutral camps being able to help push. That's a huge mechanic that I've never seen. Well, I guess I can't say never seen, but
maybe never seen effectively, you know.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this, you know, and it's all new, and it's exciting.
I mean, personally, it's really new to me, just this whole scene, just because I have played a little bit of League, enough to know just the basics of, you know, pick your lanes, that thing. This, nothing like that, you know. Yeah, you have your lanes, but they're not meant there to be you're isolated to that lane. And just having those objectives, it's gonna make I think it's gonna make the competitive scene more fun, in the sense it's gonna be random. You're gonna watch a match, and within seconds the battle is just gonna turn a 180, you know. And I think that is in reality what any sports, esports, whatever, that is like a big part of sports, is that people never want to see a game where the other team is just steamrolling, you know. They want to see that element that gets thrown into the game, you know, that element of, oh, someone was injured in a basketball game, let's say, and they come back out of the locker room and they get thrown back into the game and they go on a 20-0 run. Same thing, same exact thing with this. You have something like the Grave Golem where, all right, do we want to make that push for the final base, or do we want to go down and get the Grave Golem? And they say, you know what, screw it, we're just gonna go for the base. And all of a sudden the other team just pulls a 180, and there you had all 4 of your forts, and now you have none of them. And you're on the same level playing field. So that is going to be, I think, what really sets this whole competitive scene up. You know, plus it has Blizzard as a backing, which is going to be...
I was about to say, yeah, every BlizzCon you can expect a tournament going on.
Yep, and I think this is going to be better, because on MMO Champion they just released something about WoW saying that they're trying to make it more of an esport, which for WoW in general, it's typically hard, because when you watch a game like that, you have no idea what's going on. Even when people, you know, even people that play the game, it's extremely hard to commentate too with everything that's going on.
Yeah,
I mean, you get the gist of it, but like they were saying, nothing exciting happens until they land a kill.
I was gonna say, because I watched the World of Warcraft championships, and I'm not very familiar with the WoW arena setting.
Yeah,
but it's like, looking at the bottom of the screen, and you just see like 50 different icons for buffs and spells and stuff. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know what's going on, you know?
Yeah, don't get me wrong, it's challenging, which makes the game fun in that aspect. But that just goes against the grain of what we were saying, that that's not really a game that's easy to pick up, but it's definitely hard to master.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's plenty of WoW casual gamers, but anyone's first time seeing WoW in general, usually they're discouraged just by the amount of buttons, like you were saying, is extremely overwhelming, and, you know, B, just the fact that there is a lot of things that go into the game. It's not just, you know, hop in, join a queue, play. It's not that at all. But then that's where you get the cool aspect of, yes, you are immersed in a world of Warcraft, but you're able to interact with other people. You know, it's not so much you get thrown into a random queue with random people, and maybe you end up making friends with them, maybe you never talk to them again, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
But still, I mean, that's that it's going to be interesting to see how this competitive scene really plays out with Heroes of the Storm, because a lot of what I've seen with people talking is there's just really not enough people on the alpha to kind of like, I guess, start forming. I mean, do they have clans or guilds? Have you heard anything about that yet?
I wouldn't expect that to be in the alpha yet, but
Right.
I mean, probably later down the road, like when they're making like beta updates and stuff, they'll add a feature for that.
Yeah, I mean, I would think as far as like even social media goes, like even that whole like the social networking itself, being able, as soon as they get this whole BattleNet menu too, I know that's still in the beta, but
Oh yeah,
as soon as yeah exactly, as soon as you're able to log into that and anyone from any game is able to message you and anyone from any game is able to message anyone else, like that is going to just create this huge community that is already there, you know.
yeah, because that's like Battle.net launcher. It's gotten a lot better, but like obviously, as you said, it's still missing a couple things, which hopefully will be implemented by the time that like the public's able to play this game. So,
I mean, me personally, I cannot wait. It's making me want to play like Dota 2 and like League just because I have that itch to play it, you know.
yeah, and I mean, it's definitely so different in its own right that it's exactly what Blizzard needed to do.
Yep.
When going about this, because like we said earlier, I mean, a lot of like the whole thing about the Dota crowd is they want the most boring. They want what they've already got, just make it look better.
Okay.
And I'm glad that Blizzard didn't do that. Blizzard was like, you know what? We're not just gonna create this game and just say, all right, you know, we've got all the assets and everything. We can just make the same thing over and over.
Right. Let's just throw it together. You know.
Yeah. They've made something that is unique in its own right, and you know they're doing a great job. I mean, we joke about it, but Super Smash Brothers Blizzard, basically.
I mean, it's true though. It's that kind of fighting style game is what draws people. You know. I was telling you about that documentary. I watched easy 20-minute documentary about how Super Smash Brawl like took over, and it was meant to be a casual game, and it ended up turning into this massively competitive sport.
Yeah.
Which still has tournaments to this. I at one of the one of the like references they use, or one of the tournaments they show is from 2013. So it's not like it's dying. And then here you go. I was reading Reddit the other day, and people are talking about like, wow, like, do you think the game will ever die? No, because there's always going to be someone that has that nostalgia that's played it. Same with this game. We're going to start playing it, and you know what? Even if we just, you know what, this is pretty fun, but you go back to Dota 2, I go back to WoW, there's still going to be that certain point where we go, you know what, I'm kind of feeling Heroes of the Storm, you know?
Yeah, which is exactly, like, and that's exactly what it needs to do, is that for the people who don't completely get sucked in and, like, latch completely onto this game and say, this is the game that I can see myself playing all the time.
Right.
You know, that's what this game makes a great substitute. Like, I'm not saying it is a substitute by any means, but you know, it's one of those things where it's like, for people who play those other games like full time or anything of that nature, this is a good break, but so are those games a good break from this.
Yep.
So it's like, it's all back and forth.
And then, hey, you want to take a break from Heroes of the Storm, you see your buddy playing Diablo, let's hop on Diablo and play Diablo. You know?
Exactly.
They have this franchise that is just absolutely amazing, that, to me, I mean, I've played games outside Blizzard, I definitely did, but as soon as I got caught in the Blizzard mix, I'm such a Blizzard fanboy now. But, yeah, I mean, we pretty much hit on everything we wanted to talk about. I know, you know, we had made some references to a couple different things. One of them being the Heroes Nexus on YouTube, which is that same site, the Heroes Nexus, it's a curse site, your standard news site. They pretty much tell you everything that's going on. We get, you know, a good majority of our information, but, you know, of course we have our opinions on it too. The one too that I know I showed David a couple days ago or Yoshi, sorry, is stormable.com. It doesn't have a huge following yet, from what I've seen, but, you know, go ahead and check that out. I know that it has an article on there, First Impressions from a Dota Player, pretty interesting. They do a breakdown of like the different Battlegrounds, and just different. They have some interesting posts. It's always, if you're interested in that stuff, it's a good read. Other than that, that's all I got. Where can people find you on Twitter and whatnot, Yoshi?
You guys can all follow me on Twitter at Black Yoshi, and that is Black Yoshi, and the O in Yoshi is a 0.
Don't forget it. And then for me, myself, you can follow me at the Lupen, underscore, right in between the and Lupen, obviously, and then capital T and capital L. If you would like to email us, please give us feedback. We're interested. This was a first out of the gate podcast for us, so we definitely had a lot of information to cover. We're probably going to end this and want to talk about even more stuff.
Totally.
But the email for the podcast is heroestormpodcast@gmail.com. That is Heroestorm with just the one S. I know it can throw some people off, so Heroestorm Podcast. And then I wanted to thank, too, one of my friends, Matt Roberts. He did the intro music for us, and I mean, I personally like it. David, what was your take on that? Did you? Oh
man, sick! I love it.
See, we got one supporter of it too, counting my buddy. But yeah, please, like I said, feel free to give us feedback. We're very interested in this, and everyone take it easy and let us know when you're in Heroes of the Storm.
Deuces.